because I'm technology. I haven't do that much TikTok, so got something to learn.
Yeah, what I'm finding is most of my guests don't even do TikTok. And so, yeah, there's so much going on nowadays. Mm,
Well, I just learned a bunch.
yeah, how exciting. Thanks, guys, for all your patience. We're already up to 807 people on TikTok. So that's amazing. That's like usually double than what I usually have right in the beginning. So I guess I was thankful for the delay, got more people on. You guys, I'm so excited to have Danny Thompson here as my longtime friend for 12, 15 years, something like that. We're trying to narrow it down. We've been friends for a long time. And let me tell you what, Danny's an amazing person. I remember one of the things, and if you guys follow me, you know that he taught me. It was like, whenever I get out of bed, I can't wait to solve problems. And I thought, most people don't think that way. But you know what? It changed my perspective in life, and I started looking for problems to solve, and instead of waiting for something to be easy. And what I found is that there's so many more people want people that want to solve their problems, and you can make more money if you're come with a mindset of I can solve problems, because we can. Don't look for the easy, just go find a problem you can solve so you can make more money or make money. So anyways, his name is Danny Thompson. He is an entrepreneur, multiple businesses. He is an author of Seeing Success, and he's going to talk to us about getting clarity on what you really, really want. And so, with that being said, welcome, my friend Danny, and I'm gonna let you take it from here and talk to us, help us grow.
Yeah, thanks, Amy. I really appreciate it. I always enjoyed being one of your friends. Lucky enough to be one of your friends. You're always optimistic. You're always powerful and taking on the day, and I love that. That's that concept behind always wanting to solve problems, or always like having the expectation that problems are going to come. So I can choose that they can either be an obstacle and I can run away, or I can ignore it, or put it off or whatever, or I can look at it as an opportunity, because as an opportunity I'm going to have a different attitude, right? If it's an opportunity, then I'm going to go for it. I'm going to take a look at it. I'm going to look at all sides of it. I'm going to climb on top of it. I'm going to see what it's, do I need to take a piece of dynamite and blow it up, or do I, how am I going to fix this thing? And because there's always something great on the other side of a problem. There's always something that's beyond what we expected, even, and you can't get to it any other way than by going through it. So that's kind of been my attitude, and even to the point where I go look for problems sometimes, which is not necessarily the best habit in the world. But that's how I ended up, I think, working for Gary Keller. Is I just got a reputation of solving problems and doing things differently than other people did. Because out of the blue, when the CEO of a major organization just calls and says, "Hey, come work for me," and then I just started solving his problems. So he actually gave me a big problem right up the front. He had a publishing company that had never made money, literally for I think 12 years, and it had never been profitable. And he's like, "Hey, this is a problem. Can you fix it?" I'm like, "Well, I've never done publishing before, but I know money and I know people. So let's go figure that out." And in 7 months, I turned it around and made it profitable. Um, just kind of took a look at the problems that other people were ignoring and fixed them. I didn't really change a lot, honestly. It was just identifying what the real problems were and got clarity around that. Really, I remember Jay Papasan, who works, with Gary as his co-author. He didn't see me for like a week, and when I came out of my room, I had a bunch of spreadsheets that I walked him through, and he's like, "You're a high D. Like, what are you doing with spreadsheets?" And because in the disc, the high D does not like spreadsheets. And I was like, well, that's the only. I mean, I needed to understand the business.
Yeah.
I needed to understand how the money flows, so that I could figure out how do we make it profitable. And that was the only way to do it. So I buckled down and, wiped the sweat off my brow as I dug into spreadsheets and created all these spreadsheets and found the problems and then fixed them. And as a result, they gave me 7 more departments to run. So that was fun. Had a good time.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. Um, I'm with you. I think I my disc years ago. It's changed a little bit last year, but mine was like a high D and high C, and I was like, "Oh, that's my problem. I'm ready to go," and then I just see detail too much. But I like to have a lot of Excels too, and I like that. Um, I don't know why, but I'm not seeing you on my TikTok again. You just are not showing on the video or anything. I don't know if I lost you. Oh, I'm gonna invite you again. I don't know. You have to be separate on TikTok on your phone, and then on the podcast you have to be. So it looks like it's knocking you
Yeah,
out.
I just
Okay.
looks like it just reconnected me. For
Okay.
some reason, it disconnected. Yeah.
Yeah, but okay, there you go. Oh, okay, okay, there you go. Okay, perfect. Okay. Are we there? Okay.
So one of the things I'm going to dive into, you introduced the idea of clarity, and I'm going to dive into that. The whole idea behind the book that I wrote, Seeing Success, is that a lot of people, they want success. They want something. They want the idea of something. You know what I mean? They've seen the people who are successful and they go, well, I want that. But the reality is the way we live out our success may or may not be obvious as to what really drove us. Would you say that's a fair statement?
Yeah.
That a lot of us are driven not really by dollars, right? Not really by necessarily having the big house or having the nice car or having the big, having the nice Rolex on the wrist. Um, we're driven by something else. There's, I've heard of people being driven by their family was basically either, lower middle class their whole lives and they wanted to create generational wealth, not just for them, but for everybody who comes after them. And that drove them. And they didn't spend a lot of money on themselves. They just worked on creating generational wealth and wealth that was maybe in real estate or whatever other areas, mostly real estate in my experience. But sometimes it's family. I want to be able to, support my kids. I want to put them through college. I want to have great experiences, go on lots of trips, travel the world, that kind of thing. Sometimes it's just something internal that hard to explain. I just want to be successful. I want people to see me as successful. And all of those things are okay. Like it doesn't really matter what drives you. The question is, do you know what drives you and where you're going? And I think a lot of people don't know. Would you agree with that?
Right. No, I absolutely agree. I agree with that. You know what?
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of when I was hiring a trainer. One time I hired a physical trainer, and the trainer was yelling and screaming at me, and he was like, "You don't do it right." Blah, 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 blah. But so many other realtors had hired the same trainer. And so I'm there, and he would just be yelling and screaming at everything and just embarrassing me and just, and I did it for like a month or two, and I was trying to be real strong. And then one day I just started bawling and just in the gym, like he was so mean. And when I left there, I really realized that that's not the trainer for me. I need one that tells me that I'm amazing and I'm beautiful and I can do it and you can do it one more time or whatever. I was, and I, when I learned, what I found out was that there was a lot of people that I worked with, realtors, who needed somebody to put them down to get them to go forward. What I found out about myself was that I was not that person. And I had to have people who said, "You're amazing. You can do it. And we're going to do 5 more pounds a day, or we can lift this and we can do that." I like to be around those kind of people. And when I did, that's whenever I just bloomed, and just learning that what helps you get there. So it kind of reminds me of, that's what you're talking about, kind of
Yeah.
reminds me of that. You got to get clear on what, just because everybody else is doing it does not mean it's going to work for you. That trainer
Yeah.
may not work for you. Right.
Well, and that's the two things. It's right. Some people are driven by the fear of the negative, the negative future. And some people are driven or drawn to the positive future. And so that's kind of what you just said. He can yell at you and make you feel bad. And then that negativity pushes you to head towards the positive, or you can have the positive that attracts you.
Yeah.
And truthfully, everybody's a little bit different, and that's okay. The main thing is, do you know? Do you know what works for you? So the idea behind seeing success is it's a double meaning, right? It's if you want to see success in your life, like you want to experience it, you first have to see it in your head.
Yeah.
You have to see it like, what does it actually look like, at least to the best of your ability, right? I mean, because I don't know 5 years from now, I know when my wife and I made goals, we talked about having a ranch, we talked about having no debt, having a couple of houses near our kids, things like that. And we kind of, we didn't know what the house was going to look like. We didn't know where the ranch was going to be. We didn't know a lot of things about what that might look like, but we had kind of a general sense of it. And what that enabled us to do by saying, hey, we want to have a ranch that's paid for. We want our vehicles to be paid for. We want to have a house in San Antonio. We want to have a house in Austin. We want to have, a variety of things. Then I was able to do the math, right? Once I kind of knew, like, what is that going to cost me? What does that look like? Well, that looks like a couple $1 million. Okay, so I better start figuring out how to do that. Honestly, we started many years ago on that. We kind of had the someday goal, and then we kind of moved it back into the 5 year goal, then moved it down to the 1 year goal, kept breaking it down. But it started with that big vision that where do we want to live? Like when do we want to retire ever? We kind of talked about retirement. Do we, if we do, what do we want that to look like? Well, we want to be able to travel. We want to go to Italy. We want to go spend time with our kids easily. And so we were able to take that backwards. And, initially that was just make enough money to buy more properties so that we could pay them off, put money in the bank. Little did I know that by buying all those properties, one day we were able to sell two of them and buy the ranch cash. And so now we have the ranch, it's paid for. Now we have a couple of other houses that are paid for. Don't have any debt. I still have several companies that I'm running, which there's some debt involved there, but that's business debt, and who cares? Because my income on that's more than makes sense. But I guess the point of all that is, once we really knew where we wanted to go with all that, then it was a lot easier to empower my day to day to get up in the morning and go, okay, right now I need to make this business grow and get to this profit level. I have to hire this many people. Like, it gave me all the background to be able to figure out the next steps. And then it empowered me every day when I got up, like, all right, let's go do it. All right, let's go do it. Let's go find some problems and go solve them.
So what does that look like? So if I didn't own a business and I want to start my own business, what would be the first thing that I need to think about? I mean, I got to get clarity, right? And I really, really want this, Danny, but I don't know what to do. And I don't even know where to start. What's my first step? Can you
So I
connect
think
TikTok? I don't know. It keeps knocking you off. Are you there?
we're okay.
Oh, it just kicked you out of TikTok again.
Did it again? I didn't do it again.
On
Yeah.
TikTok.
Yeah, I'll go to it again.
Yeah.
I don't know why it does that. It says live paused.
Oh, it's there, right? Did you pause it?
But you're clearly not paused. Is it connection? I got good connection.
So your camera on the podcast is off, and then you're not on TikTok. I had to invite you again. Okay, there we go. I invited you again.
There it is. There it is. Thank you.
Okay. And then your camera on your,
Yeah. That
okay.
should work.
Okay, there we go. Thanks for your
We're
patience,
good.
guys.
So the question you asked was,
Okay, so
what if somebody doesn't know where to start?
yeah.
Well, the bottom. So there's two things on that. So one of the things I got to do for Gary Keller is I took the goal setting classes that he used to teach, kind of the mindset goals is goal setting and mindset that he used to teach to adults. He challenged me to build a company that would teach that to young adults. The idea is that many young adults, age 17 through maybe 24 or whatever, are stuck because in school they're not teaching you anything about making plans and setting businesses. Basically, the US educational system teaches people how to be employees. It doesn't really, I mean, I've heard about these entrepreneur classes and tracks and all that, but the reality is for the most part, the our education system just teaches people to be drones. And so what we found is that a lot of young people are stuck. They don't know how to start. So, kind of the same idea what you just presented is what if we have somebody here on the call that's um, is trying to figure out what their next steps are. I would say that you actually need to stop for a second
Okay.
and it's this idea of working on your business and not just in your business.
Okay.
And if you have no business, then you really need to work on it first. The idea is, what do you want? And in the name of my book, it says what you really, really, really want, and that came out of from when I was coaching this guy. I kept asking, "What do you want? What do you want?" Every call, "What do you want? What do you want? What do you want?" Every single call, "What do you want?" And I got frustrated one day, and I was like, "Man, you need to tell me what do you really, really, really want? Like, what do you want?" Because he was answering me with his, "Well, I want a car, or I want this, or I want And then the next week, he came back and gave me this very descriptive of what he really, really wanted from his life. He wanted a certain amount of financial freedom. He wanted to own, and I don't want to.
Oh, I lost you.
Oh, that's because somebody tried to call me. We good now?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah. He was afraid. A lot of people are afraid to admit what they really, really want
Oh,
because then if they don't get it, they'll be held accountable to that, right? Like, oh, I want to be rich. Okay. Well, hey, 10 years ago, you told me you want to be rich. You're not rich. What's going on? Like, they don't want to be held accountable. So it
oh,
takes a little bit of
that's good.
courage
Yeah.
to admit what you really, really want. And even to tell somebody else, it even takes a little more courage. I always say it ain't real until it's written, and it ain't really real until you give it to somebody and share it with somebody.
Oh, wow.
Let them hold you accountable. So then back to your question, if they're stuck, if you're feeling stuck, what you need to do is stop for a minute, take an afternoon, go to a place like maybe a place where you can see a nice sunset. I know you love sunsets.
Yeah.
Go to places where, oh, by the way, the sunset at my ranch, unreal. Anyway, the it's up on a hill, and I actually have sunrise and sunset.
Oh my
Texas Hill
God.
Country. Admittedly, it's not Alaska,
Oh,
but
I
Texas Hill Country is
the
beautiful.
video of that. I love it.
Yeah, I'll show it to you someday. Anyway, taking the time out to actually really let yourself think, like, what do I want with this life? You get one chance, right? You get one chance to have this life. And the way I believe is, and I teach this in all my classes, and I'm not shy about it. I believe we are destined for abundance. I believe God created us to have an abundant life.
Yeah.
And now, is that abundance necessarily money? Maybe not. But is it necessarily not money? Maybe not. I mean, I know that in Timothy 6, it talks about, hey, for those of you who have money, be generous. So maybe I think, God allowed me to be someone who knows how to make money because I'm naturally generous. I love being generous. I love giving it away. I was in a class the other day, and I still go to classes because you never know when you can learn.
Right.
I was in a class yesterday actually, and the guy was like, what if you make too much money? And I'm like, everybody was like, things they would do. And I'm like, give it away. Like, if I make too much, I'm just going to give it away. And he stopped and looked at me. He's like, that's a great answer. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, because giving it away is fun. I remember, I've watched Gary. He's a billionaire, and I've seen him give away large chunks of change, like write a check for 50 grand, write a check for 100 grand. When I started this nonprofit, he's like, how much do you want? I'm like, I want $500,000. He goes, how's 250? I said, I'll take it. But he literally wrote me a check for $250,000 for a nonprofit. I mean, how cool would that be?
Yeah.
So I had a client that, he said, I don't really need a lot. When I asked him, what do you want? Because when I coach, my first question is, what do you really want? And I dig until I find out what people's motivation is. What do they really want? Once I know what somebody's motivated.
Okay, so stop right there. So,
Yep.
Give me some questions. Like, what would you ask somebody? I need to find out what you really, really want. What would that question be?
Well, that's the thing. Is you ask them. I mean, I literally just ask, what do you want? What do you really want? And then if whatever they answer with me, whatever the answer they give me, I dig in. Okay, tell me more about that. What does that look like? Like, so let's say, for instance, this guy, he said, well, I'm really fine. My house is paid for. I have cars, they're nice. They're not expensive, but, I mean, I live okay. He goes, what I really like is I like going I go to this place in Mexico and I spend a week every year helping them. And so I said, well, what would that, so you like to go to that? He goes, that ministry is really important to me. So I said, well, what would it do for that ministry if you could write them a check for $50,000? And he said, what? He said, he was kind of taken back by it. And I said, what if you could write a check for $50,000 to that? I know you can go there for a week of your life and you can do that. But what if you could write a check for $50,000? What would that do for them? He goes, that would change everything. I said, so what would it take for you to make $50,000 that you could give away? And he goes, I don't know. I said, okay, well, I guess you got something to think about this week. And so the next week during our call, he had a plan. He goes, okay, I need to make this. I need to sell this many listings. I need to take this many buyers. I need to do this. I need to do that. And then I'll have, at the end of the year, I'll have $50,000. I can write a check to that ministry for 50 grand. I said, okay, now you know what it'll take. You wrote a plan. Now you have an idea. The question is that what you want? Do you really want to do the work? Is that what is the idea of this exciting enough that you're willing to do the work? He said, hell yeah, it is. And he wrote that check in November. He didn't have to wait till December. He gave him 50 grand. I tell you, he became a real estate agent on fire. He hit all his numbers. He hit all his goals. He got all of his appointments. Because when I was as a coach for realtors, I track appointments, listings, buyer sides, commission, right? We track those 4 metrics all the time. And yeah, he just hit all of his metrics consistently.
Can you repeat? Sorry. Can you repeat that again on what you track? I mean, you're around so many amazing top high-end people, but there's some people on here that don't know, like they're just new. So can you tell me what you track? What
Sure.
Did you say you track? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So with any company that I'd coach, so I coach insurance agents, I coach mortgage people, I coach realtors, primarily sales people. So what we do is we break down what are the 4 most important metrics. With realtors, we know that's listing appointments. Now you can track listing and buyer side appointments. That's fine. It depends on what your goals are, but it's definitely appointments, right? Because if you don't have an appointment, you're definitely not getting a listing, right? And then you want to take listings taken or transactions, and then listings taken, and then all closings, and then commission. Because if you have number of closings and you have GCI, but then you can figure out what your average commission is. If you have number of appointments and you have the number of listings taken, well, then you know your closing rate. All right, I go on 10 listing appointments and I get 8 or I get 7. Whatever that, like, gives you numbers. And then from those numbers, you can start calculating, okay, well, if I want 4 listings next month, then I need to go on 8 listing appointments. When you have your ratios, it's all about figuring out what are my ratios. Now, if you're brand new, then you just take the average ratio. You could go 50%. All right, I'll get 50% of listings I go on, appointments I go on. I'll close 50% of my listings. I'll close 50% of my buyers. That's really low, honestly, depending on the market. But very quickly, if you start tracking, and that's the most important thing, start tracking, then you can figure out what your ratios are, and then you can fine tune it.
But tracking is important.
Yeah, so that's why in the book, it's not brain science, brain surgery, but it's know what your vision is. So set your goal, know the plan. So if I have a 5-year goal, I can come up with a 1-year plan. Then know your metrics, right? So you set a schedule based on the metrics that you're going to need to hit, and then accountability, having someone or a way to be accountable. Everybody who teaches goal setting, yeah.
Yeah. Accountability is important. People don't think it is. It's like, oh, I'm grown. I can get up out of bed. You do. I do every day. I get up and I'm very motivated and disciplined. But you know what? When you have accountability and you have a coach and you have to turn in that extra thing, because sometimes we'll put something off, but if you have accountability, you're going to be, or I am, I'm embarrassed to know that I didn't go do something. So you need that accountability. We all do. Right.
Well, we really do. And the accountability that it can be found through a document. Like if you have, like KW uses 411. I have something called a Yomoti. It's year, month, week, day. So I just took the first syllable out of each one of those words, Yomoti. And so for insurance agents, we track number of calls, number of quotes, number of presentations, number of binds. And so we track all that. We track revenue as well, but that's kind of like the byproduct of binds. If you bind enough policies, we know that the average commission is $470 in San Antonio, $660 in Houston, 280, and I have an office in Detroit and Grand Rapids. So I have all those numbers. Of course, they're memorized because I can't help it.
Look,
but
that you know it. A lot
Yeah.
of people don't even know. They just go live and they're just not purposeful. But you're saying we need to be purposeful. We need to have clarity. We need to have a plan. We need to have a vision, and we need to track so we can get better and know, right?
Right.
And on top of that, you just said we need to know our numbers. Like we need to know. So if somebody asks us what's your numbers, you should know what you're good at and what you suck at, right?
Yeah. Well, that's the clarity part. The clarity is clarity on what you really, really want.
Yeah.
Clarity on what you're going to do about it. Like daily, what am I going to do every day? When I was in real estate, I dialed the phone 3 hours a day. I prospected 3 hours a day. Absolutely clear. I had a schedule that was rigid, and I did exactly what my schedule said to do every single day. And it got to the point where I was closing about 75 transactions a year, working by myself. I had a transaction coordinator that I paid by the transaction, and I was working about 30 hours a week because I didn't want to work. I wanted to go play. I wanted to go have a good time. So I made sure I was super efficient.
Hours a day. Who are you calling?
30.
Where are you finding
mostly, well, in the beginning, it was expireds for sell by owners. And then eventually it was just calling my sphere of influence. I could get through my sphere of influence in 90 days by calling 3 hours a day.
And you just track that.
Yeah. And I track everything.
And you just call people. And do you ever weed people out? Do you have some people you're like,
oh yeah. If they don't give me some reason to stay on top of it, like give me a referral, if they're not answering their phone, not responding, then I weed them out, because you're always getting new ones, right? So you're adding new ones. My philosophy was I wanted about 400 people. And that's it. So if someone was going to get entered, then I had to delete somebody, because I know there's other people out there, and the world is.
Hang on. How many people? The reason
400.
I say this, when I say hang on, because you're so full of knowledge, but there's some people who don't, because you're zipping past this, because this is like you go through so many heavy hitters, So you have how many people in your database that you focus on?
I want to have 400.
400.
Like 350.
how much would that make you if you only focused on 400?
About between 75 and 100 transactions a year. Because I'd get referrals from everybody. They were in my database because they actually sent me referrals. They were people I did business with. Now, that's my people that get all my high touch. So that's 35 touches, 36 touches a year.
Okay.
Now, I know there's other ways where you have, database of 10,000 and you splash on them and you're going to get a certain number, right? So that's two different philosophies and two different databases. So my database was people I've done business with, people who would do business with me again, people who love me. Like they literally love me. Like they loved hearing from me. And that was just my way because I'm relational. I'm a relational guy.
Hang on just a second. I got my phone is dying and I'm trying to, I need to work on my preparedness. Got to talk to Chat GPT and tell them to give me a list. Got to figure out a better system. No big deal.
Yeah, don't ask me. I'll learn though.
I'm like, it's okay. I don't care if
Yeah.
I mess up and look bad right now because wait till next year. You're going to be like, wow, she's grown. Anyways, keep going to this database. So 400 people, make sure these are people who like you. Okay. These
Yeah.
are the people that get your 36 touches. And what else do you do with these people? I mean, how often do you call them in 90 days? Or what'd you say?
I'd call just in a row. I just go through the database, just keep calling every single day. And it would take me about 90 days to get through all of them. And then I just start over. So that way I was calling everybody at least every quarter. They were getting one mailer from me every year. I have a year end, Happy New Year, I guess a year beginning technically, a Happy New Year letter I sent out every year, talked about my family, talked about what was going on in my life, talked about, how great a year I had and thanked them very much for all their referrals. And then they had emails. I did market snapshots out to everybody once a month. And a couple other just random emails like, hey, I just learned, like I would watch for information that I found interesting, and I would just send out mass emails at least 4 times a month. So then in the end, it ended up being somewhere in the general vicinity of 32 to 36 touches. And from there, my phone rang. My email, I didn't have to do anything else. I would get enough referrals that I would sell 75 to 100 transactions per year. And that's being very selective. I only, if I didn't like where the house was, then I would refer it out and just get a referral fee. If I had to, toward my last year, if I had to drive more than 10 miles, I wasn't even going to go.
Oh, that's funny. I love it. You got purposeful. You're like, I need this much time. I need to be able to do this. And I really need to do about 75 transactions a year, which is a lot. I mean, I can do about 50 and I'm good. I mean, I just think 75 is stressful for me, but there are people who do it. And it's, so I hand it to you. That's amazing. So 400 people get purposeful. That's your A team. Your 400 people is your A team, but you call other people besides that. And then you get referrals. So tell me about that referral thing. Do you require the people in your A team, that 400 people, to give back, reciprocate with you? Is that important?
Well, I don't know if I call it require, but one of the conversations you have, at least fairly early on when you start calling people, is, hey, I'm just curious. Like, I appreciate the fact that you did business with me, and that means a lot with me. Let me just ask you a question. If you were to get a referral, let's say somebody that somebody you care about, like your mom or your brother or your sister, they're going to buy a house. Who would you refer them to? And I would give them room to say, oh, I refer it to of course I refer it to you. And then I would get a referral contract. All right. So you said you're going to refer it to me, right? Yes. All right. Well, let me explain to you how I need you to refer me. You need to get me either a text or an email where you introduce me to them you put their email and my email, or their text number, their phone number, my phone number, and you introduce us electronically. And you say, hey, this is Danny T. He's going to take great care of you. He's my realtor. And I tell him exactly what to do. This is how you give me a referral. So you train them. You train them on how to give me the referral. Don't just let it be up to them, because if it's up to them, they go, hey, here's Danny T's card. He's awesome. Give him a call. Well, they're not going to call me because they got 8 other people that told them. that they had a realtor. So what you have to do for me, Amy, I really appreciate it. The way I need you to do this is, and it's super important. So I need you to hear what I'm saying. It's very important. I want you to text them and copy me and say, hey, Bob, here's Danny. Danny T is going to take great care of you. He's my favorite realtor. He's going to be awesome. Hey, Danny, this is Bob, my buddy. He's a great guy. And then from
Uh-oh, somebody's calling him again. Hang on. Uh-oh. Somebody calling you again. Did you tell them this is my time right now? It's our educated time. We're trying to get educated because we are. Because we are amazing people and we are forever growing. Can you hear? We can't hear you. Somebody's trying to interrupt my podcast, testing my patience. It's okay. I've been through tougher stuff than this. Are you there yet? Are you back on? No, not yet. Can't hear you. Oh my goodness, this is good stuff, right? Oh my goodness, it doesn't even matter what you're doing because he does insurance, real estate, coaches, heavy hitters, and even just telling you basic stuff about 400 people in your database. And these are the people who love and support you. I mean, wow, that's pretty amazing. I mean, you could have a 10,000, database, and I think my database looks like something like that. But just to really hone in on who is my A team, who are the people who support me, and also asking for the referral. And we're still waiting for him to come on. Asking for the referral and not just asking for if you're going to refer me here, text me and then text them and text me at the same time. And then he gives them the words to say or email us and he gives them the words to say. And I like that. And because, a lot of times that people want to refer, but they don't know what to say or they don't want to feel like, oh, I don't want to push it or I'm feeling uncomfortable because they're not used to referring. But here's the thing is that if you don't refer somebody good, your friend or your family could get somebody really bad. And, it's really important for you to refer a good real estate agent, a really good coach. If you see somebody of quality, if somebody you can trust, you want to. Okay, he's telling me to invite him back. There we go. Okay. This technical stuff will be testing our patience. Here's the thing is that there's no perfect anything. I get it. There's some people who are just famous. They got lots of money and they have a perfect podcast. And that's absolutely, I love it. And mine might not be going, sometimes have errors, but you know what? We're just going to keep learning. We're just going to keep growing. We're going to, that's okay. We're failing. But one day, one of you got amazing people are going to create a platform, but I can have TikTok and all this all on one thing without having so many problems. And you're going to just make it all perfect. And you're just going to make a lot of money and you're going to make me happy because we have one platform that make it all happen. So I would say that, okay. Danny, are you there? So, but he's not on my podcast. No, I'm not. We're going to keep winning here. I don't know what's going on, but we're winning. Did you see my ninja? That's my ninja. Ninja, like, I'm going to SPF too. I'm going to learn how to spiritually, physically, get financially fit, grow into the best version of me. Danny, are you there? Oh, I don't know what happened to him on my podcast. You guys keep going. Just hang in there with us. I don't know what's going on, but we're winning here because this is so much good information about getting clarity. I'm just going to reiterate some of the people who come on later. I just first I just want to thank all 811 of you on live on TikTok. I can't see Facebook yet because I can't see who's on there. So if you're on there and you're saying anything and you need to talk to me, please message me or email me. It's because I'm not able to comment on Facebook. So right now, but I just want you to know that I appreciate you being on there and growing. And we are learning from Danny Thompson, but right now we can't find him. And I'm going to figure out what's going on. Let's see if I can. I don't know what happened to Danny. He's just not here. He's on TikTok live, but he's not on the podcast, and we're trying to. Okay, TikTok. Okay, let me get off. I got to get off live on Facebook for just a minute and then pop back on, guys. So sorry. Give me just a minute, and YouTube.